The key principle this morning is that the most effective strategy in spirit-led mission is spirit-led relationship. If you want to live a life for Christ, you want to walk with Christ, you will stand out. And when you stand out, it's easier to be picked at and pulled at. Paul went into this town and he looked for people that wanted to follow God. He proclaimed the word of God to them. And then when they did, he asked them questions and interacted with them. Here are truths from this section. Leading people requires investing in people. Believer, you must invest in the community in which God has placed you. And modeling ministry is a part of the ministry model. He didn't leave them there. He led them to Christ, then ministered in front of them, and then allowed them to do ministry too. Is protect those God has placed in your care. Paul was shepherding these guys. He met them, spent life with them, led them to Christ, then did ministry in front of them, helped them in their ministry themselves. And then when it was time to pull them out because they were going to be beaten, he protected them. You know what all that involves? In continuously investing time. That's how powerful the God we serve is. In an attack from the enemy, he still brings glory to himself. And running off, and then the attack, and then God proclaimed himself strong, and then all these people came to know who Christ was, and then in that it was like, oh, okay, now things are good, we see what God's doing. And then an attack came right after. Don't be ignorant of this. The God we serve has declared it in his word that it will happen. What you see over and over and over again in Paul's life is this intentionality. Let's get a little bit more in depth with it. Intentional is an action performed with awareness, done deliberately, consciously, on purpose. How intentional are we? Think through your day. What intentional steps are you taking to follow Christ? Our exhortation is an essential part of the body. It's an essential role. We're coming up on Roman stuff where people are going to be literally lit on fire for torches. It's about to get really hard to follow Christ. And he's going through this area and encouraging all these people. And in doing it is bringing his team along. Because it's not just about the ministry Paul's doing, it's about the ministry they will continue to do when Paul's gone. Remember, the model of ministry is modeling ministry. When's the last time you were in a situation that was just absolutely a God moment? And you knew you had that urge, okay, this is the moment when I need to talk to this person about who God is. Because God's doing something in their life. He's moving something in their heart. You can see what's happening, but you're, okay. Are you prepared to give an account for the hope that you have? Being an illustration yourself is a very powerful thing. Paul hearkens them back to, remember me walking with you? Remember the time I spent with you, the 3 years I spent with you? He says, I served with you with humility, through tears, and through trials. It's really easy to come alongside somebody when everything's hunky-dory. It's really hard to be with somebody in the hard time. How many of us are in the trials of lives of people that do not know Jesus? Where are we at with that? Are you interacting with the world that God is redeeming? Because he's doing work. He's invited us to be co-laborers in that work. This is a two-party thing here, guys. Paul is calling them because he knows what's happening for him. And you know what? We can't make Paul a Superman. It was hard to know that that was coming. So he calls these guys in. They come in and he shares what's about to happen with them. Two trains of thought here. Focus. Not only is he encouraging them in saying, I know what's about to happen because God has declared it to me and it's okay. But they're also encouraging him in that they went and they interacted with him in his time of a trial, of tears, of heartbreak. He knows what he's walking into. And both these two parties are encouraging each other. Clear communication of responsibility leads to effective ministry. This is the closing of this chapter. So Paul then explains to them, here's your role. You are the elders of this body. You are called by God to defend them against the fierce wolves that are coming. Know that. There's no sugarcoating here. He said, Love the world that I'm redeeming. Interact with them. See them for what they are, lost people, and we all were lost. How's your relationship building going? He's called you to do it. He's equipped you to do it. This is how the gospel went forth from the beginning. Why would we think now would be any different? Most effective strategy, Spirit-led mission is Spirit-led relationship. That's what he's called us to do. Let's get on board.